the scene, it's your host TTP. We're flying high in the crypto sky, just you and me. From Bitcoin Rush to Ethereum, we traded all the coins with the trading parity, making that joyful noise. We got bots, we got plots, charts on the big screen. 3 comments to Wick, Hunter with a trading machine. Laughing all the way to the bank, it's a fun parade. With every trade we made, watch how we get paid. TTP's got the formula, flipping coins like a spatula. In the crypto game with the vernacular, spectacular. From the morning to the night, we're streaming with the light, trying to trading parallel. We'll teach you how to fight. Dive into the charts, the RSI, liquidity at a glance, trends on the rise. We never leave it up to chance. All trading Ganium, tools of the champion breed. With AI and math, we're planting the money seed. Laugh with us, trade with us, ain't no looking back. You're with the parrot now, leading the pack. Alpha profits, snap plus with the crypto law. TTP's on the mic and he's ready to soar. TTP's on the mic and he's ready to soar. TTP's got the formula, flipping coins like a spatula. In the crypto game with a vernacular, spectacular. From the morning to the night, we're streaming with the light. Join the trading parallel. We'll teach you how to fight. Dive into the charts.
Hello guys, welcome to the Trading Parrot. It's Friday and the market seems to be doing a nice bounce into the green. And in today's video, I'm going to focus 100% on the recovery from this dump. Whether it's around the corner or it's going to be in a month, in 2 months, in 3 months, I'm going to show you all the data that I have gathered to do such an analysis. Hopefully, we're going to end up the video much more clear with what to expect in terms of a recovery, something that is realistic that we can actually follow. If you don't mind, please make as much noise as you can. I know it's Friday, everybody's busy thinking about going for a drink or going out, and we are here. We're going to cover all this information, so I hope you appreciate that. And if you do, hit the like, subscribe, write comments as much as you can. And later in the video, I'm also going to show you the altcoins, and I got some very interesting data for you today. So before we get started, I'm actually going to list all the things that I'm going to do today. So I got a bunch of theories about where we should find a bounce from different influences that I actually respect. So I'm going to give you my cut on that as well. I'll drop my little half coin on this as well. I'm gonna give you my own take on that. I have a bunch of indicators that I haven't covered in quite a while. One of them gave us the 73 for the sell, and now it's getting close to a potential bounce area. So I'm gonna cover that secret indicator later in the video. I'll give you as well what price is currently giving for the reversal, so you can have and take note of that number. And there's a U-turn in terms of the liquidity globally. Okay, so this should be shaking the ground, because it's exciting to see that we've been in a downtrend with certain things in the liquidity globally, and I'm starting to see a big shift here, and this could change everything for not just Bitcoin, for the whole market. So later in the video, we are going to cover that as well. Of course, we're going to cover the daily, the 4-hour, the weekly, how we are progressing with that. And I got a bunch of signals as well that yesterday were extremely powerful. The Hive, both of them are hitting the target. And a new signal that we haven't had in a long time. This signal can take up to 2-3 months to trigger again, but once it does, it can give massive reversal signals. So in no way I'm guaranteeing the performance of any of these signals, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you when it triggered, at what price, how much in profit it is now, and how much should we expect, just purely based on past performance. Of course, again, no guarantee on any of this. So without further ado, thanks for all the comments and the likes. I'm just going to now start sharing my screen. And let's go with this layout. And let's go from the beginning. By the way, Um, the NFT that I was going to give away in one of the videos from the previous week, and this user here never claimed it up until now. So we're going to have to go and pick a new winner. Just give me 1 second to pick the next winner. We need to get the YouTube comments like this. And then we wait for this to finish, and we should have. So Kevin BH90 won the NFT. I know Kevin, by the way. I've seen him on Twitter and in YouTube. So congratulations to you. Make sure that you contact me. Write down a comment in this particular video here, which is called "They're Lying to You. Watch out." Write a new comment there, and that's how we can start communicating, and I can make sure that you get the NFT. And by the way, I have two amazing news for the community TTP. First of all, on Gainium, we have now completed the integration of per selection, which means that this not only became the best platform of bots for doing backtesting with years of data if you want it in the lowest time frame that you want, but now it can also flip the coins to the most bullish ones if you're using per selection. If you're not familiar with that, I encourage you to have a look. Number one, to go to the tradingparrot.com/gainium. The link is in the description, and you can open an account there. That way you're supporting the channel, and at the same time you can look into Gainium dash per selection. That one is going to give you the instructions on how you can use all these queries to pick the best coins to trade with bots. All right, so those are the two most important announcements. And the last announcement that I have is that I'm making free the tier picnic in the community. So it's no longer 12 pounds, at least when you subscribe directly from the tradingparrot.com. So go ahead, you're going to get lots of value for free, and it's going to remain free. This is not just a trial or anything. The observer is still on trial. You can use it for quite a bit and try and test the different functionalities. Picnic remains free. That's going to give you many indicators that I have developed through the years for free. So I hope you appreciate all of that. As long as we continue growing the YouTube channel, eventually we could get all the tiers for free, because that means that in order for me to make a living, I just make a living from making the videos, and I don't need to be charging you any subscription. You get all the value for free. So let's grow the channel as much as we can. The next one to become free is Observer. Let's see if we can make that. So the market is looking green. Let's go back into the topic. And I was expecting a bounce. And 2 videos ago, I showed you that the alts were doing a breakout. 2 days ago, I also showed you that Bitcoin on the 4 hour was starting to do a low quality breakout, but actual breakout. And now here we are starting to see some bounce. Whether that's going to become the bounce that takes us to an all-time high, that's to be seen yet. It's too early to say that this is the bounce. We're going to go through details later in the video to explore different theories and to see if it's feasible. I personally believe that this is looking on the monthly quite ugly, but we are in a bull market, so anything can happen. We need to be prepared for both things. So far, we close with an engulfing candle on the monthly. We are below it. We are below resistance. So this is meaning we went back into the range. The price should at the very least come back down here to 48, to this trend line, to reset things, and then go for another attempt against this top resistance. That is the way to read this chart objectively using TA. Basically, if you don't believe in TA, of course, go ahead and think that maybe the fundamentals are too strong, and you might be right as well. Leave me a comment with what you think it could happen next. As you can see, after the red month of April, we are starting May again with a red month. And yesterday we entered into the fear. We went to 43. So this is my wish coming true. I say months ago, when we were at 90 and on all this area here, that we haven't had a real reset of the greed and fear index. This doesn't mean that this is the end of it. It could go lower, but I say I want a 40, I want a 30, I want a 50, something way below the channel that looks like breaking down from this ascending channel. And that should become like a full reset that gives you lower risk to re-enter the market. Of course, if you enter here, you can get a leg up, but this leg up, in it was short-lived, right? We peak at 90, and then we came back even lower than that. So this was riskier than this one. If in the future, then we go back for even for 80, because it could stay in the 80s, it could stay in the 70s, and eventually get into a blow of top peak and do another 90. So entering from 40 and doing the whole range towards 90 is much better than entering at 60 or at 70. That is too high risk, in my opinion. So now exploring different ideas from people I follow on Twitter. So we have the MVRVZ score. I won't bore you with the details of what this is. Just pay attention to where you get these halfway cycle peaks, and that they are actually getting higher with time. Like, for example, in 2013, the halfway cycle peak was here, then a little bit higher and a little bit higher, and this one is there. So this is looking promising in terms of why we are doing this, and to calm down your nerves in terms of what to expect for the final top of the cycle, the most bullish one. In 2016-17, you can see that it reset and it went back into the trend line, and then it carry on going higher. So that's a normal cycle. It's very similar to what we did in 2013. Whereas if you focus on, let me see, if you focus on what we did in 2019 into 2020, there was COVID, and that completely spoiled this shape that should be just going higher and higher. So whether this point there is the actual reset, that depends on whether we get something as big as a black swan like COVID, because that could take this whole structure down like it did in 2020, as opposed to what it did in a normal cycle, which is just to follow the trend up and do higher lows all the time. If that's the case, this low that we are currently having should be higher than the previous low. That means that we shouldn't go as low as 34 or something like that. That could only happen if we get a black swan event. There's TechDev, another account that I really like to follow. It's expecting that this is the bounce. I've seen many times in many different accounts, including also in Matthew Highland. Go and follow the three of them. Really good charting, really good patterns. I'm actually have to admit that I'm very inspired in my technique of trading from these people. If you follow them, you're gonna see some similarities, and I admit that I really like these patterns and they work for me. That's why I use them in my own channel. These are consolidation areas. Consolidation in bull markets are expected to go to higher prices. And a few days ago, Matthew was saying that we should expect, to find a spring somewhere here. A spring is a point where the price should be expected to bounce after a big liquidation and a reaction that the bulls were expecting for that price, and pushing it into a new impulsive move. And this was, on the 29th of April, so quite a while ago. And this price came now below this accumulation zone, and now it's testing it as a resistance. So after multiple times that we did this kind of patterns, is this time going to be different? Are we going to just find a spring here? Well, so far we are doing that, but quite slowly. So we are facing that resistance. We are outside this square box, and the price is trying to find an argument to break above it. More precisely, going above 60 to 62 will take us back inside this range. At that point, there should be so many shorts that were expecting the price to go lower that is like throwing gasoline to the fire, and that produces this sort of impulsive moves. So that's the recipe. But in order to get that, the buyers, the longs, need to take back control right at the spring. And that hasn't happened yet. One of the signals that I'm going to show you later, the one that comes from leverage squeeze, is designed to spot those times, and it has trigger on the 4 hour. So it's promising. It's meaning that it's on the table. So do not be surprised if we get a spring back up. I wouldn't, but it can also fail. Anything can fail. Um, RSI. RSI on the monthly. This chart, I use it to forecast what's going to be the top of the market. And this local top, we already touched it there. We got rejection. And we are in the process of doing this line that I left there. I probably draw it around early March. And my expectation is for this to cool down. We touch 70 and coming down, coming down, coming down. I will expect like a cool down like this, like doing higher lows, and at the same time targeting the full, deployed RSI strength until we get to the trendline resistance. That's on the monthly, so that could take. I drew it like a very long line until the end of 2025, but it could be earlier somewhere here. In that case, we peak at 78. And if we take longer, we could peak at 76 on the monthly. Let's see how that plays out. But if you're curious, this bottom here, I drew it between 55 and 56. And that in the price currently is located at 46.7. So almost 48, between 47 and 48 is that support that is coming from doing something like this. And that is very similar to what we do in the monthly in previous cycles. So that is currently my expectation. When we were at 73, we were touching this resistance by a millimeter, and then it got pulled back into 0.45. That's where we closed the weekly. But at some point, we were touching it, and I made loads of videos repeating like a parrot constantly. We are touching this resistance. We have never gone above it. If you want to bet that this is going to be the time that we break above it thanks to the ETF, go ahead. I'm selling my Bitcoin. And after that, this retraced back into making a lower low. So if we look at previous cycles where we also have a half cycle top, like I can only see this one in 2013, that reset going back into the red. And then it pushed back up, and it kind of met again with the resistance of the weekly. In this cycle, we went straight there, but halfway in the cycle, we went above the 0.5, and our reset was on the trend line. And here, anomalies everywhere because there's COVID going on. And then here is the bear market. The other anomalies that I have covered, I won't make this video about anomalies, but the point is, making it very short and quick for you, I expect the reset from this indicator in this cycle, as long as there's no black swan events, to be somewhere at 0. 0 in the price is located at the moment at 55. But that's the closing price. So the price could perfectly do something like this on the weekly, touch, let's be exaggerated, touch 46 and then come back above 55. And that could perfectly give you in this oscillator a touch of this trend line, ready for another attempt later in the bull market to face the resistance for that final top, if we are going to get one, of course. And here is the big news of the day. And I've been waiting for this for months. This is a breakout of the liquidity injections into China banking system. So they started printing money in China, in short. And that's good. I hope that this is going to continue like this. And actually, I hope it goes degen like this, because that means that with all that liquidity from China, you could start doing some positive guess. Where could it go if people print a lot of money in China? They just have an ETF launch in Hong Kong. Could that influence the inflows into those ETFs? Possibly, be prepared for that. But I can clearly see a breakout from the trend line and from the moving average. Now, here's the bad news. I told you the good news first. I'm going to tell you the bad news now. The bad news is that the Federal Reserve has done two candles below the bear flag in terms of their liabilities. This means that they're selling, they're not buying. And since here from 3.6 trillion, it's going to 3.2. So that's a big disposal of assets. And usually Bitcoin follows very closely what this is doing. So it's been going up during the bear flag, and Bitcoin has been going up. Now it's going down. Now, hopefully, that liquidity from China, which tends to be quite substantial, they're the largest, economy. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they are. That they should influence the price as well. So it's going to compensate these two news, and hopefully for the positive. Let's go now into the into the daily and 4 hour, and what the alts are doing with the breakout, how long that breakout can go, where it can break, and things like that. And whether if we get another dumpiness during this weekend, how low it could go. So you can be prepared. No? It's all about being prepared. It's not about guessing, tomorrow is going to do 62. Is tomorrow is going to, no, because if you try to do that, you're going to be most of the time wrong. Just be prepared for different outcomes and prepare your plans accordingly. Your risk management, your stop losses, your entries, and everything should be better that way. So we got this line. Where is it coming? This line, I don't remember. Let me see in here. So we got 32, 24, and 43. Okay, I got it. So we have this pattern that we've been watching since February and March, and it's a bullish pattern, but we are below resistance constantly. The last forecast was to make a lower low to get to 30. We made it to 33. At some point, we went at 32, and I drew the line at that day while the candle was still alive, and I say, the next thing that is coming is from that 32 to challenge once again straight away our resistance and breakout, or do uh, another lower low here, or a double bottom. That could be the time that we uh, finally challenge and overcome this resistance. So where are we today? I think we are bouncing from here with a very humble pivot. It's looking a little bit weak on the daily. It's pointing down, and I'm preparing, my entries for a potential lower low. I will say that from here, I wouldn't expect to see a move like this, just like that. After this collapse and this collapse, it's kind of the shorts must be exhausted, and now the price is pushing higher and is squeezing some of them on the 4 hour. So what I will expect to see is a push to the resistance here. When you are at resistance, your eyes must be open like crazy, because at that resistance is the moment where you can either get the breakout, or you could do that lower low. And that lower low could go from 33 to even 24. So I'm going to show you the target. So all of these cells are getting smaller and smaller. I think 24 is a little bit exaggerated. I think I'm going to change my mind to something like 26. Um, if I show you these targets on the price, it doesn't change that much the number. But in terms of the price, that will mean that from 57 to 52.8 right now is something doable. But the price doesn't fall just free fall. It does it, but in the bear market, it does it, but with a black swan event, really bad news. If we continue just with no news and the price is resistance at 61 right now, and that is RSI 41, I think. Yep, RSI 41. I should have put this at 41. So our resistance is 60.5. That is, okay. So I was guessing if it touches at 42 to 41 here. So let's put it back on 42 to be a bit more conservative here. So that is a 60.7. So take note of that. 60.7 is resistance. If the price goes there, it can even go above it. But this is a daily chart. So at the end of Friday, if it's below 60.7, it means that it's just facing resistance. So sound all your alarms, because from there it can do another move down here to lower than 33 RSI. So be prepared for that. Hopefully it's just going to be a double bottom, but that's the bearish scenario. On the 4 hour, I did a few amendments here. This used to be, if you've been paying attention to the charts in the past 2 weeks, this used to be here. We have this fake out that we say this is a no trade because we are constantly being faked out. Then it came back down. And in the past video, I say we are having here a low quality breakout to the upside on the 4 hour. And that one went all the way to the median. It's there, it's hanging. And why is it hanging? If you take this line and you put it there, that is the new resistance. This one got broken with the fake out. This one here is the new one. And by having done that, you knew that this was going to be some difficulties. uh, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to do that, but you can see that it's slowing down against resistance, and we need to be paying attention because it could break out there. This is again a low quality breakout. It could play out, but keep in mind it's a low quality, just 2 touches. If it breaks out here, amazing, but it's a low quality one. And on the alts, we are seeing something really interesting. We have this breakout here that was on the 1st of May, and we are doing something similar as the 4 hour on Bitcoin. It has broken out, it printed the double bottom, and now it's hanging, but from a higher level. So alts are currently showing slightly more strength on the 4 hour. It made it to 55, whereas Bitcoin made it to 47. So relative to Bitcoin, the alts are currently showing a bit more strength. And in terms of the price, it's on a 4 hour uptrend on super trend as well, but it's about to have a bearish cross. This candle looks bearish if we close like that in 1 hour. So if I was doing alts, I will take partial profits at the very least here. I already took my profits on the alts. I'm doing very short, quick entry and exit since we are in a downtrend. If you want to do something different, and you're right, that's up to you. Let me show you the CPR levels. What's going on with CPR levels? Sorry, the CPR levels are here. So we are in a virgin month on the CPR, meaning that we haven't touched the May CPR levels. And that means that the price wants to go and at least touch 62.3. So that number is like a magnet. It's consider it like a 95 or higher percentage of cases where we have a virgin CPR, the price goes towards it, whether it's from above it because it hasn't touched it here or from below it. So that is also something bullish if you want for the short term. And on the weekly, we almost touched the support, and we are now retracing back here. And that is looking somehow bullish on the weekly, not that much. It's just a bounce from support. Whether it's going to challenge it again, we will have to see. But you can see that we bounce from our support made from the reverse RSI. By the way, I'm not fully sure if Picnic comes with reverse RSI. Some people want to have access to reverse RSI. Go to the website and check on the what's included and expand each of the tiers and look up for the reverse RSI if it's included. If it's not mentioned there, just leave me a comment and I'll add it later. But it should be with Picnic, which is a great news because many people want to be using the reverse RSI, this one that I built myself. So as you can see, Kyle is showing here on this chart. I believe this is from Glassnode. It's an amazing chart. I don't have access to this. I think the subscription costs like 10,000 a year, and they're not sponsoring the channel, so I won't spend 10,000 just to see this that you can find on Twitter everywhere with some frequency. You can see the blue areas. Those areas are accumulation, and when everybody's buying, of course the price goes higher. It also shows tops, when everybody buys, and it gets very blue, it gets very close to an area where people start taking profits. And the taking profits is this transition into red, and each of the sizes of the pockets are here on the left hand side. So having more than 10,000 Bitcoin, these people started selling a bit late here. Usually they are the ones that initiate things. Like, for example, here they were the first ones to sell around January, and then they started accumulating in this dip and slowly starting to transition into selling. Right now, it seems to be that we are full on in distribution, so everybody's selling. Don't take that too serious. Sometimes when everybody's selling, it also marks a local bottom, especially in bull markets. So everybody selling eventually gets to a point that no one else is willing to sell, and it starts flipping slowly and steadily into the blue. And you see these areas here of the price that goes sideways, and when you enter blue, you're already late. It already pumped. So you should not necessarily wait for everybody being in the blue. That means that you're chasing the price. You need to start speculating to interpret this chart. When is that red peaking and it's going to start slowing down into going back into a blue? So that's another theory that supports as well what we saw in the Big Whale Explorer here. We saw the peak selling from large holders at around 7th of March, and that slowdown into becoming mostly deposit. Now we are at a ratio of 0.85. So it's not a lot of deposits, but there are more deposits certainly than withdrawals. Now it's starting to go up again, but very humbly. I don't see um, many deposits currently compared to withdrawals so far. But I will let you know, of course, as usual, on my Twitter. Trading Parrot is the handle. And in terms of inflows from US ETFs spot, you can see we are facing now resistance, not looking great. This needs to revert very quickly in coming back into the range to continue an upside. And that will be considered uh, a liquidity trap here, where they're just getting the shorts trap and then they push higher. Um, yeah, that could be one outcome, but currently the most likely outcome is this. Some people are going to say you're wrong because in an uptrend, in a bull market, typically this become just a trap in a continuation pattern, trapping shorts and then squeezing up. But we will have to see. And I think I have a few more things that I wanted to show you. On the NVT, we finally, in advanced NVT signal, we finally close below the green line. So that is meaning that in 1 or 2 weeks, there should be some sort of big reversal. And the signals that we have yesterday, I published them all on Twitter. We have the hive, and this is on the 4 hour. And on the 1 hour, it actually went beyond the target. So the target was 59 and it went to almost 60K here. And on the daily, we didn't get any, but the 4 hour is was very close by a few dollars to fully complete the target. If you see this histogram at the bottom, is the number of divergences. Remember, the hive is an indicator that counts divergences, and the more we have accumulated within a look back period, the hive says, okay, if it's higher than X amount of divergences, then trigger a buy and target two times the ATR. The ATR is the average true range, the volatility. And it tends to be very, very, very useful, especially when you're following the trend. So if you're in an uptrend, you take only the longs, and a downtrend, you take the shorts. It's perfect. And I got today this signal. This signal actually triggered yesterday. Let's zoom in so you can see perfectly at what price it triggered. So it triggered at this price at 58.3, and so far it has done 2.8 to the upside. The previous one was from here and it did a 10%. This one is a short. We could say it did another 10%. And this one was just sideways on the short side. This dumped 10%. This was wrong. This made, who knows, how do you want me to measure this? This is 23, or it can continue to 36. This one was also awesome. And the thing that triggers these signals, that is called leverage squeeze, is whenever there's too many shorts and there's too much open interest and the funding fees, it looks into all of that and tries to find the recipe for either a long or a short squeeze. And long and short squeeze, people talk about them on Twitter all the time, and they not always play out. And the same goes for this signal. Sometimes they play out. So read it as the conditions for a short squeeze are there. Whether it will play out, who knows? But if it does, you can see it could do a 10% or something more, or 20, or even a lot more. Going back here, there are plenty of signals. You can freeze the screen if you want to see their performance also in the bull market, in the bear market here, free fall. There are a few short squeezes here as well in the bear market. And let's look at liquidity. What time is it? 12:07. So we have a few more minutes to look into liquidity and to look into some alts. If you want me to look into any alts, remember to leave a comment down there in the live. Make as much noise as possible. That really helps the stream to get to more people. And I see some good, decent amount of orders here on the bid. That is a good thing. It indicates sentiment, but never read this as a guarantee that the price won't break through this. Okay, I've seen tons of time the sentiment being very positive and thinking that that is the bottom and the next one is the bottom. So just think, okay, there's good sentiment. Read it as at least there are orders there. Sometimes there's nothing here, and it looks like what happened with the longs. The longs are there, and what are the sizes? 600, 500, 500. So there's like 2,000 there, 500. This one is quite large at 55.2. This is 1.5k. Wow, they're coming back, the longs. So that is a good sentiment indicator, because not seeing for so long 1.5 and then suddenly seeing them at 55. And think about this as well. Even if they don't get filled, if the price entered the short squeeze, think about that 1.5k sitting there as dry powder that might potentially end up chasing the price if the short squeeze ignites. So that's more dry powder to the equation. If the short squeeze plays out, it could be huge. That's my point, because there's liquidity willing to take a long. And that liquidity is also seen here in fire charts. Let's look at this area. Let's see if I can do a zoom here. Yeah. So we got this area here. Look at these colors, not just by the size of 60 million or 40 million, but relative to the previous reactions of the price. So here, for example, we have 52 and 57 protecting that area, and that created this bounce. In here, we are having 56, 54, and a bunch of more levels here that span up until uh, sorry, I'm reading the price again instead of the volume. So I should be reading the volume. So volume is 50, 41, 25, 40, and 28. And that is from 56 to 50. So all that range has some liquidity. But if we want to know relative um, to the previous times, I will say that it's not as substantial as it was when the price was at 37 and we made a move to 73. This look at that is huge. If we put the percentiles in zero, you can see that it's still uh, in light yellow. Compared to this, it's nothing. Okay, so there's not much volume there, and in the last 6 months, pretty much everything is pointing down, but I'm seeing something here with the largest wells. Let's zoom in into the and see what the browns are doing. It's not visible in the month. It's only visible in the 6 months. I'm seeing here a slowdown in the brown wells, which are the largest ones, and the purple seems to be still selling. So that is looking like that. And I'm going to show you this chart again because to me, that liquidity that is left there is a shame. If I was a whale, if you were a whale, what would you do here? Think about this. There is this bounce against resistance of the previous range at 60. Do you think, okay, let's pump it? But where is the volume? There's not much volume going on. Um, it could do it, but think about probabilities. What is the probability that here this pumps and leaves all this liquidity there untouched? This is money that they can take literally. They can dump the price here and then make an impulsive move if that is what they wanted to do to get the price higher. But I think it's a shame being a whale and leaving all that there. If you already made it to here, why not taking all of that? I'm not saying 50, I'm not saying 48, but what about from here to 54? Shall we do it? Why not? And that those are my thoughts in terms of those levels. And here I have another interesting observation to make, that people say, well, that's it. This is all the dump that we're gonna get. And one argument towards I don't think so is, whenever you get a dump, whenever you get a real crash in Bitcoin, look no further than confirmation from volume. The volume, when there is a big dump, tends to spike relatively high versus the neighbor candles of the volume. And here we have weekly candles, and you can see here in September, I still remember here getting wrecked with XRP, and in here there was a massive take profit from whales that they left the market around here, and the retail was still pushing the price higher. And you can see how it spikes when there is a dump. This dump by itself went higher than the whole area of the bull market. No candle in the bull market was larger than this correction. And in the bear market, you have this and this. So I'm not saying we have to do a volume candle the size of a bear market. No, don't get me wrong. But we need to do a higher high in volume to say that is the correction. This correction here made a higher high in the volume, and this one did a decent one relative to the five neighbors in any direction. And in here, what do we have? We have the increase in volume in the rally, and then the drop in volume. The interest is fading away, and the retail is going, well, the little retail that was throughout this period is even less now. It shrunk by half, I will say, from Google Trends. And then we have a dump, and nothing is sticking out. So if you want a real confirmation of a dump, you should expect here to see a volume candle that at the very least it does this. Okay, a full flash of the market will be this, but halfway there relative to this one is something decently decent for a bull market correction, halfway through. So I'm gonna leave that candle there, and we'll see later if we get that candle happening. The interest on Bitcoin is quite low, but is still pushing higher than we had. We had a low of 21, and then it pushed back up to 24. Today's 25. So you know it's coming back, but we are halfway from 49. That was the peak. So that could be an indication of a continuation, because remember, Fibonacci applies to everything in nature. So if you get to 50, you go to 25 and you hold at 25, what does Fibonacci say? That is the no, Fibonacci doesn't say that, but people call that the golden pocket of Fibonacci. 0.0618 to 5 retracement and bouncing back up. If we do a bounce back up from 25 now, that will be perfect for saying that the people are most likely going to come back and potentially make a higher high in the interest. In terms of the bot, not much really. Messenger recover a few of the losses from here. Absolute Note yesterday made a 1%. The scalpers are in progress towards recovering from a big hit. I updated what they're doing, so they are less exposed in this period. We held good amount of what we made, but still the month is in negative. And statistical arbitrage now is in -1, but still holding good. If you want to trade any setups with Bitcoin or altcoins, what we're going to cover the alts later in the video, make sure that you have an account in either OKX or BingX. That really helps the channel. The links are in the description. And we have price pools of 60,000 for OKX and 6,000 for BingX. BingX is better if you want perpetuals and you don't have access to KYC, or you don't want to do KYC. So let's have a look at the alts today. Let's refresh this. A few days ago, we were at 32. Let's see where we are now. We are at 48. So we are approaching the neutral with the altcoin. So nothing has pumped really extreme into the overbought. So we might not be too late to see some setups. And let's see if we see too much of open interest. No, it's still very, very low. So that could be a good entry in case the Bitcoin dominance breaks below. Remember, we are monitoring. What are we monitoring this Sunday? Bitcoin dominance going below 54. Okay, if you see that, text me on Twitter, remind me at some point. We were below 54 this week at 53, but we bounced back above the support. We have support from the trend line and from the horizontal line. And why do we care about this? You should tell me. I keep telling you. Alts cannot perform if the Bitcoin dominance is just pushing too high. That means that the money is going to Bitcoin, not into the alts. It's just logic. If it breaks below 54 and it decides that it won't make that higher high, that I think is likely, it's likely that we make a higher high in the dominance. But if we don't, and we break below here, there might be some room for the alts. So let's have a look at the alts, what they're doing. And some of them are really bad. Feel free to ask me any specific questions that you want to know about the alts below. Like some of you may be holding a redback with an entry price at XYZ, and you want to know what levels of support are next. If you are interested into adding more and stuff like that, I can cover all of that. TRX has been showing quite a big strength throughout the past weeks. Is building a cup and handle, which is a bullish. It's a bullish pattern, but it's also an inverse head and shoulders on TRX. So this from here, it could make a big impulsive move. How can I do this? Let's do it with the line. So from here, and I'm not even taking the wick there. I'm just going to use the bodies of the candle. So it could make it to 0.13 if it gets really bullish. But one note, TRX won't do this if Bitcoin is pumping. TRX tends to do the opposite. So if Bitcoin dumps, this could be a decent setup. So monitor what Bitcoin does. If Bitcoin ends up doing that lower low, TRX could provide a decent move from 0.12 to 0.13 here, kind of approaching this high at 0.14. And AR is below resistance, but I cannot stress anymore how much this pattern wants to break above this resistance at 35. And so continue to monitor the dominance. If there's weakness in that dominance and it starts breaking below 54 and it remains there, by that time, I'm sure that this will have broken above 35. You can see here how it's building this pattern, and every time that it breaks lower, it comes back and it retests 35 and it fails. And it's holding support on the momentum as well. This is the daily chart. And targets, I, I will say that if it breaks 35, we should be looking into 42. There should be some turmoil around 39 because just there's this level that is sold very strong from there. So that is important. In terms of Sol, it was looking very bearish a few days ago, particularly on the 30th of April. That is also like an inverse head and shoulders, an inverse cup handle. And I left my target here. I say that is unrealistic to think in the bull market. We can do that, but I have to give you the technical levels, whether I like them or not. Just I don't want to be biased. Sometimes it's impossible because it's targeting a negative number. It can happen, but you can see that it bounced back up. It didn't play out. It didn't break the support of 122. I gave you precisely that number, and it never broke below it. So it's not playing out yet any bearish outcome from that. Let's go back to Sol. What could happen here? Uh, Broke below support, or support is now kind of this line here. Let's see if we can spot a new. So we are having a local breakout on Sol. You can see this is less quality than this one here, but it's a small breakout there, and it could be targeting 100 at 158 horizontal 156 more precisely. Let's see, it's a low quality, but be prepared for the targets and the things if things start looking better for the alts. And uni is looking ugly. Uni is below this resistance there. It lost support. um, so it could make another journey to 5.6. So at some point it touched 5.8. So let's say 5.8 if it continues on this way down. And near is at 6.1 below resistance, and it broke the support. And I'm going to start looking into the requests from you guys. Just 1 second. All your questions are super important. So Davide says, waiting for your insights to recover from the past days. And hi, Martin. Uh, Please tell us about your analysis on the 2 months chart from other analysts. It seems we are going to face stronger retrace in May. Thanks. So let's have a look at that. I haven't done the 2 months. Very quickly, let's create a chart. DTC 2 months. Someone was asking me to review the top 10 meme coins. By the way, now that there's per selection with Ganium, you can literally use the per selection to pick all the most bullish meme coins, and they get updated every hour in your bot. So you just trade meme coins if that's what you want to do. Let's put Bitcoin, USDT on Binance. Let's go for the 2 months. How am I going to put 2 months here? I need to make this screen larger so I can reach the custom 1 month. Sorry, this is going to look a bit weird. for a second. Custom interval is at the top. Month, 2 months. Yeah, that should be the 2 month. And I need to select it. 2 months. There you go. And maybe I should go for history of Bitcoin instead of Binance. Okay, yeah, it looks pretty ugly, that candle. You are absolutely right. It's a hanging man, if I remember right the name of the candle pattern. I recognize the shapes of the patterns, but I keep mixing up the names. Yeah, so that looks toppy as hell. So it could retrace, yeah, quite a lot according to the 2 month. If you start flipping time frames, you're gonna get so many different readings. It's good to flip, but in my opinion, I try to stick to just certain fixed time frames that I can recognize the same patterns from the past as well, and I can bring them and keep consistency. Because if I take this chart and I start doing my analysis on this one, this looks toppy as hell. Uh, but then I will have to go back in time and see what it did with similar things on the 2 month. Yeah, but very interesting. So the next one is BTC. Next comment, good morning. David is also saying, shall we wait for Sunday to open long BTC positions with leverage to catch up the stronger lift up? I cannot give you necessarily that sort of advice. I cannot give any advice. I can tell you what I think about the market situation. On Sunday is usually interesting to see all the candle closes from the weekly, but I use that as my bias of what I do during the week. I don't necessarily take deals on the closing candle of the weekly at the precise time. Please share the levels you'd look at on BTC for a longer or short position with leverage with a decent length of time. I'm gonna pass that one. I'm gonna now focus. Sorry, David. I'm gonna focus now on the alts in the last final minutes. I'm gonna review Manta. That's the next request. USDT, because I need to do some alts. That's what I promised to do. And I need to expand this one. So this seems like a new listing. And in terms of RSI, is showing some strength here. This is the daily. It entered the buy zone on the cross PE ratio, but since we don't have any history, it's very difficult to do anything here. It had this support here at 1.7, but it lost it. 1.8, and now it's facing it. But if the momentum continues up, it could break about 1.8, and this should be resistance 2.19, because it's got resistance 3 times there and support 4 times, 5 times. So if that momentum plays out, it could go in this way. But remember, coins don't do what they want. They follow the market. They follow Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin starts taking the dominance into 60, don't expect this to play out. And if the dominance goes lower and things start, the flow of cash goes into Ethereum, and Ethereum starts doing nice things, then this little guy is going to start crawling up to the upside. But look for the context and not just for the technicals, because the altcoins, they do a lot of fake outs. They tend to say, yeah, I'm breaking out. Yeah, but then Bitcoin does something extreme, and then that breakout goes to hell. So they represent a lot of risk. Hey, people, Dionysius, please can you check Bonk? Let's have a look at Bonk. I think it's a meme coin as well. Let's see. This is Bonk on Binance. I don't have much data either on the daily. We have this breakout that I probably cover in a few videos before. It's bouncing on support in the price, and it's got resistance right there. There's a range, and the next range is at 3409, and you got support at 1382. If there's some drama here, you can see how quickly it went in April 12th from there into 13. So it did 22 to 13. That's a big move, by the way. So losing here, it could take you there. And what is our current support? Our support is very clear there, and it's bouncing on support, right? So what we want to see, I'm seeing this is going lower, where this candle is still in shape, is still progressing, right? But if we see this going higher today, the price goes higher and it closes our resistance there, I will be a little bit worried if I see a bearish divergence here, because this is pointing down. And if you end up the day anywhere like this, then you will get a bearish divergence, telling you that this might start crawling down to break the support and make it a great, that could make it a great short for bonk. But prepare for that. Be always 3 steps ahead of everybody else. You're gonna do better. And ABT, I'm not sure if this is a coin. And also an interesting one is ABT. Yeah, I guess it's a coin. It's listed on Gate.io, BitGet. So which one is gonna give me more data? Oh wow, is pushing higher. Very good. Are we on the daily? Yes. So we got these tops. I won't be able to use that top. Let's use this one. It's very difficult to trade this. So on the price, that is support. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there. And we are against resistance, potentially breaking out right now. Yeah, if it gets a rejection, look for 208 as support. Otherwise, 1.5. And let's see if we can do something crazy here. From this top there, yeah, it's resistance. So that is giving it resistance. I will personally not take this breakout here. So if I break out here, I'm not sure of the quality of that, because the line is, it doesn't have any slope. I prefer to trade things like this, multiple touches and some slope, rather than a flat resistance. Of course, it could continue going higher, but it's just not giving me the confidence. And it has done 1, 2, 3 impulsive moves. So I'm not sure if it's going to get the fourth. It depends on the rest of the market as well. Thanks for all the details. Thanks. For the next day, it'd be great to have you POW on BTC 2 months chart. I actually covered the BTC 2 months. I guess that's an earlier comment. Thanks for Bong. Okay. It is a long-term hold for ABT. Yeah, that if it's a long-term hold and you have conviction, that's fine. I'm trying to give you the perspective from the swing trader, whether you can benefit from another short-term push. I think there might be some cool off on this. We'll see. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed the stream. If you did, remember what you have to do. Hit the like. Have a look at my website. Remember, now I have a tier that is free. Take advantage of it. Have a look at all the indicators. Add your TradingView username. You're going to get like 30 indicators in your TradingView account for free, which is great. and keep watching the videos, keep hitting like, keep helping me grow the channel. We grew half we doubled the views last month, which is just thanks to you. If we keep doubling the views and growing in terms of followers, I'm sure that we're going to get to a point that everything is going to be free in this channel. And I look forward to that just as you do, I hope. I'll see you next time.